Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we are going to be talking about the very popular right now book recommendation tag. I think Steph Boyer was the first person to do this, and I loved that video. And then I've seen some of my other favorite booktubers doing the book recommendation tag, so I thought I would do that too for today's video. In her video, there was a list of 15 different book prompts, and she chose a book for each one. So basically I'm going to be going through that with you guys. There is a few repeats in these because I couldn't not, but I did try to switch it up, and hopefully there is some books that maybe you haven't heard before or maybe you haven't heard too much about. But I really did get back into reading last year, so I feel like I don't have too many books under my belt, but I do feel like I have really good recommendations for this video. Before we get into the books, really quick, I want to make a little afternoon pick-me-up drink because it is gloomy outside and I just need a little pick-me-up for right now before we do this video. So let's go make a really yummy iced coffee. Okay, so I'm going to explain just really quick how easy and simple this little iced coffee is. I usually don't have iced coffee in the morning. I usually have it in the afternoon, and it's the afternoon. So I'm ready for an iced coffee, and I'm just going to show you guys how easy it is to make. I don't have too many ingredients, and all these ingredients are super easy and pretty healthy. So first, I'm going in with just some oat milk. I like almond milk too, but I wanted to try more oat milk, and I really like it. But I think I may like almond milk more, but for today we're going to be doing some oat milk. And I just put ice, and then I put quite a bit of milk because this is like the main ingredient, I guess I would say, or the ingredient that is used most. The next thing that I'm going to do is add my favorite part. This is so satisfying and so yummy. This is the Javy coffee concentrate. So basically like instant coffee, but so much better tasting, and it's actually quicker, and you get a lot of bang for your buck because this is 35 servings in this little bottle, and really you can probably make more out of that because you can either use 1 teaspoon or 2 teaspoons depending on how strong you want it for that day. I usually use about 1 to 1.5 teaspoons when I'm using this. I also just eyeball it a lot, so I would suggest that too. But basically, you just pour it right into your coffee. Look at how pretty that already looks. A little bit more. I just love the way that iced coffee looks when you're making it. It's super satisfying. Now, I don't have this sweet flavor. This is just their original coffee flavor, but they have so many flavors on their website. Like, they have their main flavors, like they have caramel, they have mocha, they have things like that, but then they also have like holiday flavors and specials. So that's really fun. So you can really get anything that you want. Now I'm just gonna add a little bit of sweet cream creamer. That's probably my favorite flavor with creamer is sweet cream. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of this because, like I said, I have the original one, so it's not sweetened. Okay. Now I'm going to give that a stir, which is my favorite part. Who else loves this sound so freaking much? So good and perfect, exactly what I need right now. And I have this cutie little glass that I got from Amazon, and it comes with a little wooden lid. So while I'm filming my video, I can take it with me. I don't have to worry about it spilling. So if you guys want to try out Javy coffee, you can actually use my link in the description box, and I also have a code for you guys to enter that will give you 15% off your first order, so that's pretty good. Also, they have like subscription based things, so you can set up a monthly subscription, you can buy one time. So many different flavors. They also have like little accessories, they have cute little cups, they also have like tote bags with their name on it. Super, super cute. But so yummy. I definitely suggest trying this out if you just want to make a quick coffee at home, because I don't like going to Starbucks that often. It's so freaking expensive. And also like making coffee at home with the pods or the Nespresso or things like that, again, it can get really expensive and also takes a little bit of time. So this is just super quick and super affordable. Okay, let's get back to talking about books. All right, so I have the questions on my notes app. And so let's just get right into it because I'm very excited to share these recommendations with you. So the first question is, a book you tell people is your favorite. So whenever someone asks me that, I definitely say Good Girl's Guide to Murder because I feel like this book, it's a trilogy, so there's 3 within this series, but this one in particular as well really got me like not into reading because I've been into reading for a while, but really honed in back on escapism while I'm reading, because I loved the characters, I loved the plot, I love a good murder mystery, and this one is YA, so I feel like it was really easy to read and also really relatable in a sense, because the characters are in high school, and I don't know, it just kind of gives you like nostalgia vibes. So anytime anyone asks me what book is your favorite, I definitely suggest this one. Another one that I had on this category, because I couldn't not mention this one, is These Silent Woods. So I wanted to name one that most people know, and then also one that I haven't really heard people talk about. This book was so good. I would say that it's mystery, but also kind of just regular general fiction. But there is definitely a mystery element. I just ate this book up, and I don't know if it would be everyone's taste. Again, that's kind of why I wanted to mention A Good Girl's Guide to Murder 2. Just because it could be slow at moments, but I didn't necessarily feel that way, but I could see if people thought that way. But it was just so amazing. It's about this dad and his young daughter, and they kind of live off the grid, like way out in the woods, and you're trying to figure out why they're like secluded like that. And so you're kind of going through the story, getting hints at how they got into the position that they were in, and it was just really good. And I'm going to talk about this book a little bit more in the video, so you'll hear more about it. Okay, the next one is a book that is your guilty pleasure. And I had a hard time trying to figure out which book for this, because I don't really feel like I read any super crazy books, but I am going to talk about Colleen Hoover, because I feel like right now she just isn't the fave. She blew up on Book Talk, but then I feel like, I don't know, she's getting a lot of hate. I don't necessarily know why, or even care to know why. People are just rude, but that's why I'm putting it in this guilty pleasure category. I loved November 9, and again, a lot of people don't like November 9, and I don't understand why, because I feel like the concept of this was really interesting. So basically, it's about a girl and a guy who meet, and they kind of like hit it off really quickly, but the next day she's like moving away across the country, and so they decide to meet up every November 9 because that's the day that they met. So it's kind of like year to year, and you see them like catching up and all that has happened within that year, and it was just a really interesting concept to me, and I loved this book. There's a big twist. I liked the romance. I don't necessarily know why it gets so much hate, but that's why I wanted to put it in the guilty pleasure category. But this is my favorite one by Colleen Hoover. The next one is a book everyone loved, but you didn't. So I am going to talk about Taylor Jenkins Reid in this video, because I'm not a huge fan of her, despite one book I'm going to talk about. But this is Malibu Rising by her, and a lot of people loved this book. I think this took me almost 2 months to read. I'd have to go look at my Goodreads, but as far as I can remember, that's what it was. So it took me forever to read. It was really slow to me. I never felt connected to the characters, because it's about like 4 or 5 different siblings, I think, and kind of their family dynamic, and I don't know, like that just wasn't very interesting to me. And again, I never felt really connected to them, and then their dad just makes me so mad, and I know he makes everyone mad. Anyway, I just didn't love this book, and it took me forever to get through it, but a lot of people love this book. I just wasn't a fan. Okay, the next one is a book that you read the fastest, and I am not the fastest reader, but recently, or within the last couple months, I've read The Housemaid by Frida McFadden, and I read this in 2 sittings, which is very fast for me. I just could not put this book down. I really wanted to figure it out, and very short chapters, so it was a quick read, but also super interesting. And they just came out with the second book, and I haven't read it yet, but I really need to get it. But yeah. This one I read pretty quickly, and I definitely suggest this one if you want like a thriller. It's basically about a woman, and she gets hired as a housemaid for this really rich family, and the wife is like super crazy, and the husband is like super nice and super charming, and she's staying in this room kind of up in the attic, but she realizes like the door locks from the outside, and creepy things start going on, and it was just really good. A book that deserves more hype. And again, this one was kind of hard for me to pick, because I feel like a lot of the books I read are pretty hyped up, but The No-Show by Beth O'Leary, I really loved this. I read this in February around Valentine's Day, because it's kind of revolved around Valentine's Day, but you can read this any time of the year. It's like a cute romance, but it also had some really deep elements to it that I wasn't expecting. I was kind of expecting a fluffy romance, and I really enjoyed this one a lot more than I thought I did. So I feel like this is one of her books that I think should have a little bit more hype. I've heard people talk about it, but not too much, but I really enjoyed this one. There also was a twist, and it really got me. Again, it was deep. It kind of made me tear up. I really enjoyed this one. A book that is becoming a movie/TV show. This was another hard one, and I didn't want to be too cliche, but I feel like I have to talk about Daisy Jones and the Six, because their show came out really recently, earlier this month, I think, and I've watched a little bit of it and I like it, but the book is just so much better. Again, I'm going to talk about this book more later in the video, but please read this book. Don't watch the show without reading this. Please, I beg of you. They did really good on the casting, I feel like, for this, but so far it's falling a little bit flat for me. Like, I'm enjoying it, of course, because I love the storyline, but nothing will compare to this book and the writing, and yeah. So this was the one by Taylor Jenkins Reid that I loved, if you couldn't tell. The next one is a book you have reread the most. So I am not a big rereader, so I kind of just wanted to talk about books that I would want to reread again, because I don't really know if I've reread really any of these books besides maybe books I've had since I was younger. But I want to talk about Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I would definitely read this book again when I kind of need like a palate cleanser and just a cute romance, but a really, really good story. I would definitely pick this one up again, and again, it's a really easy read. And also, I would definitely reread A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, all 3 books, because they were just so, so good. A book from a genre that you don't typically read. This one was kind of hard because I do feel like I like a lot of different genres, but I'm gonna go ahead and talk about fantasy because I want to get into fantasy a lot more this year, but previously I just haven't read that much besides like Harry Potter and, you know, things like that. But I want to talk about A Court of Thorns and Roses, and yes, this is really popular, but if you have not read this book, which I feel like there's still a lot of people who haven't read this, it is really, really good to dive into fantasy. It is easy to follow along. Yes, there is world building at the beginning of this, but it was very easy to follow. Some people say it's slow at the beginning, but I never felt that way. I was very encapsulated by the very start of this book. So yes, it's a big series as well, but I don't know. Very worth it, and I'm actually reading the series pretty slow. Like, I'm not reading it back to back, and I do feel like that helps. Just kind of, I don't know. And I also want to stay in their world. I don't want it to be done because I know she's not done writing it, and I don't think she has a book coming out anytime soon in the series. So I'm kind of trying to savor it. And the next one is a book that deserves all the hype it gets. And again, I would definitely choose A Court of Thorns and Roses because, like I said, a lot of people talk about this book, and yes, it is popular and it is for sure worth the hype. I don't think I've met one person who was like, that book was okay. No, this was really, really good. The next one is a book you usually recommend when asked to give a recommendation. So I wanted to pick 2 different genres. So I have 2 different books for this tag. And the first one is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I wanted to put a romance, kind of a comedy romance in there if someone is asking me and they like romance. And this is a very easy read, and I feel like it was pretty minimal on spice, if I can remember correctly. I don't know why, but I just don't feel comfortable recommending books to someone that has a ton of spice, especially if I don't know them very well. If it's someone really close to me and I know that they are okay with spice, maybe I would feel comfortable recommending that, but I'm not even a huge fan of spice myself, so I feel like this would be a perfect book to recommend to someone who also maybe is new to reading, because it's just a really easy read and really fun read. This is about a girl and her twin sister is getting married, and on her twin sister's wedding day, everyone ends up getting food poisoning except the main character and another male character. So of course the bride and groom can't go on their honeymoon because they have food poisoning, but everything's already prepaid. So she sends the main character girl and the male to the honeymoon, and so they're kind of like fake dating, and they also don't really have a great past, so they don't really like each other, so it's also like close proximity. And it was just a really, really fun read. I definitely suggest this one. This is one I usually suggest to someone who, I don't know, it's kind of new to reading. The other one that I would suggest if I know that they like thrillers is 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. This is the same author who wrote A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, so when I picked up this book I knew I would like it and I loved it. It is again YA, so it's easy to read for a new reader or someone who just wants a good thriller, and again, there's no spice or anything too crazy. I mean, crazy things happen because there's 6 people that go in an RV on a trip and only 5 come home. So if that tells you anything, the concept is really cool. You're basically reading it in real time within like the 8-hour span that they're stuck in this RV while they're trying to go on spring break, and so you're kind of following along with them on that. And yeah, little murder mystery, really fun, quick read. The next one is a book that has your favorite characters, and again, Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I loved Pip and Ravi in this book. As soon as I finished the 3rd and final book, I was so freaking sad because I just missed the characters so much, and I think they're actually making a show, which made me scared but happy because I missed the characters, but then I hope they really do a good adaptation. But anyway, well, that's one I could have suggested for a movie and TV show, I guess. I don't know when it's coming out though, so I guess that's why I didn't say that. But I know that they are making, I believe it's a TV show of this series, so I'm like really excited about that. I would definitely say that this book has some of my favorite characters ever because I just really felt attached to them. The next one is a book you wish that you could live in, and I'm going to suggest Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I liked this book. It wasn't my favorite, but the reason why I'm saying that this is the book that I would want to live in is just because when I was reading this book, it was just super cozy, and it has to do with like a cabin in the summer, and it has to do with books in like a little library, and I just feel like it was really, really cozy, and I could really picture it when they were describing like the cabin and things like that. So I definitely would want to be stuck in this cabin as a kid. This one is about Macy and Elliot, and it is kind of about like when they're younger, growing up every summer, and then as they're getting older, and also in between that time there was like some kind of rift and split between them. You're trying to figure out as you're reading like what the heck happened to them, because they used to be like best friends when they were younger. So it is second chance, and it is, you know, friends to lovers to enemies to lovers. I don't know, that whole trope. I like this book. I think I gave it like 4 stars. I wasn't a big fan of the like second half of the book, but the first half of the book when they were really talking about when they were younger and like in the cabin, I think that's why I loved it so much. It was very cozy, and if I could live in any of the books, I think I would pick this one. A book you thought you would hate, but you ended up loving. Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. The only reason why I thought I would hate this one is because it was Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I've read 2 of her books. Like I said about Malibu Rising, I just wasn't a fan of that one. It took me forever. But I freaking love this book. This is like a 6-star read to me. This is probably my top 3 reads I have ever read in my entire lifetime. Did not think I would like it because of the author, but then also because I wasn't really drawn to the concept of the book. But it's amazing, and I really think anyone on any reading level with any kind of different taste in reading would enjoy this one because it is general fiction. But it is about a band that's up and coming in the 70s, and they have a big split within the band, and so it's written in interview format, which is really, really neat. And I thought maybe that would be kind of weird, but so quick to get through these pages, and it's really cool to see each character's, you know, different vision of the same events that happened with those characters. It was just so interesting, so good. Thought I would not like this very much, even thought I might hate it, but loved it. A book that made you cry. So if you know me, I'm not very emotional with books. Movies, I'm a little bit more emotional, but for some reason when I'm reading, I don't know, my emotions like fly out the window a lot of the times. I feel like I'm getting, you know, more connected into my books as I read more. But These Silent Woods, which is strange because it's not like a sad book, but towards the end of this book when there's this one scene, and if you've read this book you can message me and then we can talk about this scene. And I don't know why, because yes, it was the sad scene, but it wasn't like, you know, your typical crazy dramatic sad scene. But when I was reading it, I was definitely tearing up. Like, I felt the feelings that they were feeling, and I don't know why. I was very encapsulated by this book in particular, and this one definitely made me tear up. I recently read If You Had Been With Me. I don't have it right here with me, but everyone said that that book was so sad, and I get why. And you know that like someone in it, something happens, you know it from the first start of the book because it talks about it, and so you're anticipating that, and it's at the very end of the book. I don't know, did not make me sad. I didn't have very much feelings towards it, so I don't know. But These Silent Woods really made me get emotional. The last one is a book you wish you could read for the first time again. And I'm gonna pick Court of Thorns and Roses because I think it might have been because I haven't read much fantasy, and so when I was reading this and they were, you know, building the world and all these mythical fairy things were happening, I was so like into the book because it was just, obviously it's not reality, so I was very like escaping into this book. And I definitely wish I could like read this again for the first time because the way I felt when I read this one in particular. I have read the second, the third, and the novella, and I am gonna read the 5th one pretty soon, hopefully the next month or 2. But this one in particular, the first one, like, just the way this book made me feel, I just wish I could feel that again. So that is it for today's book recommendation tag video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope maybe you got some new book recommendation ideas, or maybe just some more insight on some books that you have heard people talk about. I will put all the questions, all the tags that I answered in the description box. If you want to do this video too, or if you just want more suggestions, you can also comment some of your answers down below of what you would tag with these questions. I would love to see your answers. And don't forget, if you want to try out Javy coffee, which is so good and hitting the spot right now, definitely try it out. I will leave my link to shop in the description box, and also I have a discount code down there as well that you guys can use to get 15% off. So if you shop, definitely use the link because it really helps me out and supports me. Thank you guys so much for stopping by my channel, and I hope to see you guys soon. Bye.